Dune, the building of a dynasty. The planet Arrakis, known as Dune. Land of sand. Home of the spice, melange. The spice controls the empire. Whoever controls Dune controls the spice.
Dune 2 is a real-time strategy game developed by Westwoods Studios and released by Virgin Games in December 1992. It is based upon David Lynch's 1984 film Dune, which is an adaptation of Frank Herbert's science fiction novel of the same name. While not the first real-time strategy video game, Dune 2 established the format that would be followed for years to come. As such, the game has become the archetypal real-time strategy game. Striking a balance between complexity and innovation, it was a huge success and laid the foundation for Command & Conquer, Warcraft, and many other RTS games that followed. According to Virgin Interactive Vice President Stephen Clark Wilson in 1998, the development of Dune 2 began when Virgin Interactive planned to cancel the production of Cryo Interactive's adventure game Dune, after which he was given the task of figuring out what to do with the Dune license. After reading the original novel, he decided that, from a gaming point of view, the real stress was the battle to control the spice, so a resource-based strategy video game would be a good idea. It was around this time that employee Graham Devine introduced to everyone at the Virgin office a real-time strategy game on the Sega Genesis called Herzog Zwei. Clark Wilson described it as a game where the player kept clicking on stuff and then zooming off to another part of the screen. It was very hard to keep track of what was going on as an observer. Still, everyone liked it. It had fast action, and it was a strategy game. Virgin staff, including Clark Wilson and Seth Mendelsohn, then went to Westwood Studios to talk about making a Dune game. According to Clark Wilson, Westwood agreed to make a resource strategy game based on Dune and agreed to look at Herzog Zwei for design ideas. It later turned out that Cryo's game of the same name was not cancelled, and Westwood's real-time strategy game was called Dune 2 as a result. The plot of the game goes as follows. Emperor Frederick of House Carino is desperate to harvest spice, found only on the planet Arrakis, to pay off all of his debt incurred fighting wars with family members. To achieve this, he offers the sole governorship of Arrakis to whichever of the three houses delivers the most spice. The player assumes the role of a military commander from a house of their choice. In the first few missions, the objectives are to successfully establish a base on an unoccupied territory of Arrakis to harvest spice and to defeat enemies. The introductory, mission briefing, and endgame cutscenes are different for each house. The weaponry and units also vary depending on the house the player chooses to play as. The gameplay will be very familiar to veterans of Command & Conquer. The game does lack some basic features that appear in the later games and can feel somewhat janky at times, but the overall gameplay loop is as addictive as it was back in 1992. Build your base, harvest spice, and fight off enemies. According to Westwood Studios, Dune 2 was a commercial success, with global sales in excess of 250,000 units by November 1996. Computer Gaming World in 1993 stated that the PC version easily outshines its predecessor in terms of gameplay, a real gem, with arguably the most outstanding sound and graphics ever to appear in a strategy game of its kind. When the Amiga version was released in 1993, it was met with positive reviews. CU Amiga magazine rated the game highly with 85%, praising the smooth gameplay and controls. The game received Amiga User International's Game of the Month award when it was reviewed in September 1993. Dune 2 was one of the most influential games in the real-time strategy genre, particularly in Westwood's own Command & Conquer series. Though not every feature was unique, its specific combination of a fog of war, mouse-based military micromanagement, and an economic model of resource gathering and base building served as the template for subsequent real-time strategy games.